I'm back, mustaches are back, and today we're gonna break down these beautiful reflective shots. For reflective shots, the first and most important thing, since we are focusing on the reflection, is to get rid of unwanted reflections. So I'm gonna roll this Duvetine out on our surface. Boom, like that. And then the next thing that we're gonna do, because I know I'm gonna be using blue for my color, is I'm gonna take this blue plastic sheet right here. I bought this at a plastic store. You don't have to use plastic, you can use paper underneath if you trust your tank that I'm about to show you, that it's not gonna leak. We're gonna use this as our bottom surface just to have a little bit more pump in our color. The next most important thing for your beautiful reflective shots is a reflecting pool. And I built this one myself, as you can see, because it looks terrible. But the point is, it's not about the looks of it, it's what it produces. And this thing will create a bunch of awesome, beautiful shots for your product videos or even product photography. So let me explain a little bit. This is just acrylic sheets glued together by using Flex Seal and fish tank glue, whatever that's called. I will have everything linked in my bio below, but I got these plastic sheets actually cut out purposely for me, 3 feet wide by 2 feet long. And I got them at a plastic store, but you can actually get this at any hardware store. Again, everything will be in my bio, so you can build something very similar to me. The reason why we're using this instead of, say, a fish tank is because, one, it has a clear edge like this. The size of it is a lot more conducive for what we need because it's not super tall. It's wider and not super tall, so we don't have to have a ridiculous amount of water every time we do a shot. Would this work well for, like, say, an ink shot underwater? No, but this is great for reflecting shots because we have it at the right height, which is 4 inches, and we have it 3 feet by 2 feet. And we're just gonna place it on like this. So it's gonna be covered by the blue surface. And as you can see, I made sure that I sealed this. I might have overkilled it quite a bit, but I made sure that I sealed all the edges so that there's no water leaking out of it. It's pretty strong, and then I just put some gaff tape on the edges just to make sure for safekeeping. The next thing that we're gonna do is grab the product, place it in here, and I'm gonna show you guys how to get the first shot. What we're using today is Sauve by Dior. I have no clue how you pronounce it. Suave? Oh, Suave, that's what it is. Suave by Dior. And we're just using it, we're not sponsored by them. I just thought this would be a great example to show you guys these reflective shots. And the first thing that we're gonna wanna do for our first shot is we're gonna wanna place it so it's facing up, right? And the way that we're gonna do that is we want it not on the actual acrylic surface itself. We want it to be raised up so we can fill water in, and then the water can be touching the bottom of it. I have this little C-stand attachment. You can use anything that you want to make sure that it's floating above, and we're gonna place it like that into the acrylic surface. But the rule is that you just wanna make sure that it's covered up and that it's not something that's too big that you can see off to the side. So that's perfect, just like that. So we're gonna place this down like this. And I'm gonna make sure that it's nice and center as best as I can. And then voila. Please don't mind the scratches. I actually use that bottle. That's my cologne. I actually have a new one, but I can't tell you guys. Dennis Feinstein. The next thing we want to do is put our camera into position. This can always be moved later, but we're looking for almost a top down, but a little bit angled off, pointing at the product itself. I have my Canon R5 on a 50mm, and we're just gonna bring this tripod in like so. We're gonna get as close as we can. And then what I'm gonna do is turn it on, and we're gonna start angling so we can make sure that I have a spot where I like it for the product. We have the camera set up. We know exactly what the framing is gonna be. I'm happy with that. The next thing that we gotta do now is bring in the water. So let's do that. Now I'm gonna be slowly filling up the reflecting pool with water, and what I'm aiming for is for it to be touching just right on the bottom of the product. So we're just gonna do it nice and easy and slow. And you don't wanna rush it because you're gonna knock over your product. You just wanna be nice, easy, safe with it, and making sure that you have no leaks, obviously, in your reflecting pool to cause you any problems. So as you can see, it's already looking pretty blue and pretty. Here's the water rippling. Pretty, right? That is just the first part. The most important part of this is the lighting. And don't mind the paper towels. Unfortunately, we have a little bit of a leak because that's what happens when you rush building it like I did. Just make sure that all of your edges are sealed, but it's okay because we can always fix it afterwards and the leak is manageable. So we just keep moving on. Nothing's perfect in filmmaking. I always make mistakes and you can too if you follow my tutorials. All right, so how do we get that colorful reflection that you see in a lot of product commercials? Well, scientifically, the way a reflection works is the angle that you're facing has to be inverse of the angle of whatever you're looking at. So for example, right now, I'm at this angle, I can see the ceiling right there, but that's complicated. I'm not that smart. The way that I figured out the easiest way to do it is I'm gonna flip my screen like this so I can see it, and then I'm gonna walk on the opposite side over here, and I'm gonna take a flashlight, and I'm gonna start shining the flashlight. And as you can see the flashlight there, but as I move it here, okay, now there's the center spot of the flashlight, and that's where we're gonna want our light for this shot. I'm gonna bring in my Godox SZ150R because this is an RGB light and it has a dome modifier on it. We're gonna set this up real fast, and I'm gonna set it to blue because that's what I feel like this whole commercial would look like. And we're gonna put it in the angle of where I just had that flashlight. Bring it up like so, and then bring it in right here, lock it off, because what I remember was that's pretty much what it was. We can always adjust it later. Let's turn it on. It's probably gonna already be on blue. Beautiful. We got a nice blue look coming right now, but we have a huge circle. So how do we fix that? The next thing you wanna use is a second layer of diffusion. What I'm gonna be using is this 4x4 diffusion right here. And the reason why I'm gonna use it is because it has wire on it. So it allows me to change the angle and match that angle that we were looking at before. So like that. We can just drop it in. We can get it nice and close to make a super soft look here. Keep dropping it, keep dropping it, keep dropping it, just like that. And now that's mimicking that look that we wanted. So I'm relatively happy with this lighting. We're gonna have to turn off all the other lights. This is just to get the blue look. The next thing that we're gonna wanna do is get a light that's gonna help with show the movement of the water, because you gotta think about it. If you have one flat source of light, it's gonna be hard to see the waves. If you ever think about looking at waves at nighttime, quote unquote, is that there's always like some kind of crest from the moonlight, like a hard light that's hitting just the tips of it, and that's where you can see the outline of the waves. So we need to create an outline for our waves. So let's do that next. The next light I'm using is a Nanlite Forza 60C. This is a small light, but the reason why I'm using it is because I have a projection attachment on it right now with a gobo. And what a gobo is it's just a shape that you can create with lights. This one is window blinds. And the reason why I'm doing this is gonna help break up and create a nice, interesting pattern on our water. So when we're moving it, we have a hard light that's coming in and it's gonna create the outlines of our waves. We can play around with this. I have it at 4% right now. And then we can make it softer or harder so it's not showing up onto our bottle. But here is it with the projector light on. As you can see these waves beautifully like so. We do have a hotspot, but we can remove that in post because we're not moving the camera or the product. And if I turn it off, it's much harder to see these waves now. You're not getting that little outline of the waves. It's just not as pretty. And that's the whole point of why we're doing what we're doing. I'm shooting 4K, 120. I'm shooting a slow motion. You can shoot 60 frames. It really doesn't matter, but you wanna have a slower shot, and you can play around with the water in so many different ways. So I can do this if we want to, just to have kind of like a rippling wave effect. Or we can do something where I remove this right here. Now that we have our shot of this, we can leave our position of where our item was placed, and we're gonna take a dropper and just drop water droplets constantly in a row in that spot. And then what we can do in post is take our product, overlay it on top because it's the same shot, same lighting, and then have the water droplets coming out like they're coming out from underneath the product. And that's my favorite way to do this shot. First shot is done. Now what we're gonna do is lower the acrylic reflecting pool back down and move all the lighting because it's all about to change. So let's get going. Now for this one, we're gonna wanna fill up all the way to the top of our acrylic. So there's virtually almost like an endless swimming pool.
Like an infinity pool.
That's the word I was trying to use, infinity pool. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna have our camera on that side where Alex is, and we're gonna bring our lighting and put it directly behind here. So first, let me set up the lighting.
Coffee.
Coffee. All right, But this time we're gonna drop it straight down and make it more level with the water. So bring it straight down like this, and we're gonna tilt it up like that, boom, and move it farther back like so. I'm gonna plug it in. Instead of using the 4x4, we're gonna actually use a diffusion roll because it's cleaner and softer, and it's gonna just create a better look because we're gonna be shooting straight into the diffusion. So then I'm gonna take this, and we're just gonna roll it on out like so. And that's gonna be creating our background that we're gonna be shooting into. Now we have our product, and what I've done is I've super glued just a barbecue skewer on the back, or hot glued, sorry, a barbecue skewer on the back, and what we're gonna do is just dunk it in, pull it out in slow motion, and it's gonna create a beautiful look. So let's do it. So we're moving on to the last shot, but before we do, we're actually gonna remove this blue because we wanna rely just on the reflection of the color. It's very important, so we're gonna just put Duvetine, or you can put something black in at the bottom, just so you can pick up the optimal color reflection and make sure that it's clean from the light. This is just something you have to do. It can get messy, but we're removing a little bit of water, enough so we can slide this out, and then leave the Duvetine on top. And then we're gonna move on to the next shot. For anybody that doesn't know how to get water out of one of these, you can just use a tube, and then you suck on the tube, and then you drop it in, and it's called gravity, and it works. I can show you guys real fast. So if I lift this all the way up above this, the water is gonna stop right now, right? And to get it to go is you dip it in here, you start sucking, and then you hold this like this, it's siphoning, drop it below your other hose, and then boom. And that's how you steal gasoline too. Just don't do that. I'm just joking.
Time to top right now.
We remove the blue bottom. Now we just have the black Duvetine. We're gonna fill this back up all the way full. You're gonna wanna fill it all the way up to the edge, but let's talk about the lighting next. So what I'm doing is we're bringing back our lighting essentially the same, but what I've done now is I've taken 2 black pieces of cardboard and hung them side by side and made just a small little strip in the diffusion so we can shoot the light behind and create a really cool color effect. We have our black on the bottom, we have the water all the way filled up, and we have these 2 black pieces of cardboard with the blue stripe. You can change it to any color again because we have an RGB light in the background. And then what we've done for our last shot is we have the skewer, and we've just glued it to the top now, and we're having this float instead of putting something in the bottom. We're having it float because that's really easy to remove the stick and post, just use simple wire removal. And then we have it on a C-stand coming across and just hanging down from a knuckle. That's it. And then all I'm gonna do, sorry, now it's jiggling because I did that, is we have our key light right there. It doesn't look like this, obviously, just because, you know, you guys have to see me. We have our key light, and all I'm doing is going like this, and we're shooting this at 120 frames to get a shot that looks like this. You guys actually a few little bonus shots as well. And really what you can do once you have these kind of setups with the reflecting is think about playing with shapes. I have this again. I'm gonna connect it to a Matthews clamp right here. We're gonna go like this, bring it in, and I'm gonna bring it to the back. So let me just tighten this real fast. All right, and then as Alex can show you guys in a second, once I lower this, I'm gonna take the smoke genie and just put some smoke through the back. And voila, new shot. So the last idea I have is creating the moon reflection, like, you know, when the sun is setting or the moon is setting on the ocean water. So I have this just foam disc right here that's circular, and we're gonna place it right here, and then we're gonna shoot a light onto it just to have it glow a different color. So the last thing I'm doing is I'm taking this projector light and I'm gonna shoot it on to the moon shape, and we're making it a warmer color just to have a kind of a blue-orange effect. It's gonna look really cool, so we'll turn this on now. And then we'll use these just to make sure that it stays on just the moon by cutting the light. All right guys, that is it for this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you realized how wet I am right now, but make sure that you do everything properly and take your time, and you can create some amazing, beautiful shots. Please like, share, and subscribe. And until next time.